Thank you.
All right, let's go for it.
All right, Brian, do you want to tell us a little bit about what a golden letter is? Do you want to hop in there and just give some insights?
Yeah, let me get the volume up. And I apologize, guys. I was all set up to be using the conference room, and then I went in there for the class, and there was somebody in there using it with a. I couldn't really kick them out, although I wanted to. I couldn't do that. Okay, so golden letters. So basically, a golden letter is a letter that we're going to be sending out to potential home sellers to ask them if they're interested in potentially selling their home. Okay. So with that, there's a couple of different ways to do it, and that's what we want to talk about. And then there's obviously a couple of different things that we got to really watch out for when we're doing golden letters so that we make sure we're staying on the right side of the law. And that we're not going to have a whole bunch of agents calling to scream and yell at us because they think we're trying to steal their clients, right? So the idea of a golden letter is we want to keep it short and sweet. We want to make sure that we're not, and everybody thinks, okay, golden letter, we're writing the sellers to say I have a buyer and we're looking to find somebody to buy your property. I want you guys to be really cautious about saying you have a buyer in any situation where you don't have a buyer for that client. Especially because they will get really upset with you when you show up and say, I don't really have a client. Okay. So we want to keep it to the point that we want to ask them the questions about it. And the more personal you can make it, the better. So generally, we want those to be done, at least on the outside, written by hand. Okay. We all get enough junk mail. We all get enough postcards. We all get enough letters in the mail that we don't want to open. Writing it in hand gives them a little bit more by hand, gives them a little bit more reason to want to open it up and take a look at it. So ultimately, the goal is to get the letters into the hands of people who may be interested in selling their home and giving yourself an opportunity to start that conversation, right? We've had a lot of agents in our company who've had really good success with golden letters. And Matt and Zoe are here today. Matt and Zoe do golden letters and they do pretty well with them. I think, Amanda, you've done golden letters quite a bit too, right?
I have.
Yeah, Amanda's had done some golden letters and had some pretty good success with it as well. So we just want to make sure that we're giving you the opportunity to know how to do them and the best practices to avoid some of the pitfalls that have gone along with trying to learn how to do these golden letters. And Matt and Zoe and Amanda are going to be here to tell us the do's and don'ts associated with those golden letters. Okay. So ultimately, our goal with these listing classes is to give us the best opportunity to have more options in going out and getting listings, because right now, I think we can all agree inventory is terrible. Inventory is one of our biggest pinch points right now. A lot of people say, well, the interest rates. Well, here's the thing. Even if we had great interest rates right now, we don't have houses to sell them. So we got to get into figuring out a way to get more listings. And if we get listings, then we have the opportunity to sell to buyers too, because those that need to buy will buy at a higher interest rate if they have something to buy. And as inventory increases, the extreme price increases will start to slow down too. Go ahead, Matt. Were you going to say something, Matt?
No, I was yawning. I apologize.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's noon. You needed more coffee by now to avoid the yawns, right?
Yeah, I was out up late last night at the base station.
So, any of you guys, anyone else on here, have you guys used golden letters in the past to kind of give you guys a chance at finding some new listings? Who else has done golden letters? Anybody? Nobody else? Karen, Zeke, Mark, Laura, none of you guys have used golden letters in the past? Hey, Barb, welcome to the training here today. Anybody else? Laura, no luck? Haven't been doing it?
I have sent out forms for areas, but not like a specific letter like that.
Yeah. So
I have.
Yeah, Mark. Good. Have you had any success in the past with it?
My last one, gosh, I don't just canvass a zip code or anything like that. I pick a neighborhood and pick specific houses. Out of 47, I got 4 calls within the first 4 days,
So 10%,
approximately.
Right.
Yeah.
that's pretty darn good. You get a
Mm.
10% response rate on anything, that's pretty darn good, right?
Yeah. So this
Um,
last one was okay, but they're not ready to go for a year. So that's okay.
I think we all plan on selling houses in a year too, right? And
I'll
that's the
need a
other thing.
commission then.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing about golden letters and things like this is it's all about consistency, right? If you're gonna start doing golden letters, you gotta understand that you gotta be in it for the long haul. It's like farming, right? It's gonna be a buildup, okay? It's going to be a buildup, and you're probably not gonna see a ton of results in the first few times that you do it. But if you get 4 out of 40, that's a pretty good return, especially if you get 1 out of 40, that's pretty good. What's it cost? And I know Matt's kind of got these numbers, which is a great reason why I wanted Matt to be here. What's the actual cost, not the return on investment? What's the actual cost you think per letter? And Matt's a super numbers guy, so I love having Matt here because he looks at all these things.
75 cents.
75 cents?
Yeah,
And that includes
not
your
including
labor?
your time that it takes to actually, print it, sign it, address it, mail it, all that stuff with the.
So
material
if we,
costs.
It's hard
If-
to.
if I was to ask you, if we added that to this equation, what do you think it is per letter?
$1.67.
$1.67. See?
Yeah.
I like numbers, people. I love
What's your
numbers.
hourly rate?
So $1.67.
So I have
Exactly,
different
what's your
places,
time
different
worth?
hourly rates, and they both do the same amount of letters per week.
So
Nobody's doing
$1.67.
it for free.
Yeah, so $1.67 per letter. So I think we can all agree that at $1.67 a whack, when we're doing hundreds of these, there's some investment involved in this, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing it right. And we're trying to make sure that you understand, the consequences of doing it wrong. And one of the consequences is you can easily spend $500 or $600 and not see any kind of return on that. So, which is why we wanted to have this class today so that we can have Matt and Zoe and, come in and say, all right, well, we did this and it didn't work. We did that and it didn't work. We've done this and we didn't work. Matt, can I ask you, of the golden letters, how long have you been doing them?
About 18 months.
Okay, so 18 months of golden letters. What do you think your total all-in money is for golden letters over those 18 months?
I didn't look at last year, I just prepped it for this year.
So this year, what is your all-in this year so far?
I've sent 2,600 letters at $1.67, so whatever that is.
So less than $5,000,
Yeah, probably.
less than $5,000, okay?
Yeah.
So Matt, how many listings and future listings do you have waiting to come on the market from that?
Just this year, 11.
Wow.
So 11 listings. Okay.
Yeah, about 111 in GCI off of that.
Okay, so 111,000 in gross commissions for a less than $5,000 investment. If I could tell you guys today that if you spent $5,000, there's a good chance you could make 111, how many of you guys would do it? That's not even a
That's the
question,
question.
right? A lot of these lead gen programs that they have out there, they want now 40 or 50 or 60% referral fee on these fees per transaction. So when we consider if that's 111 gross commission, if you were working with some of these Zillows and these other silly companies out there that are selling you leads, you're probably talking $60,000 in expense to get those leads. Okay. So this is what we talk about when we're doing at night, when we're doing all of these kinds of things. If you do the things, it's going to not only get you a better number of returns, but the rate of return is going to be massively different, right? So you're talking probably 10% of the cost associated with a lot of these other lead gen programs. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, just depends, right? So these are the things I want you guys to be thinking about is, it seems like, man, that's a lot of work, but if you can pull 11 listings out of it, I don't know that there's much work that I would not want to do for 11 listings. okay? And now we also got to consider that out of 11 listings, there's a good chance that you're probably going to pull 4, 5, or 6 buyers out of that mix when you're marketing your listings and you're getting calls from buyers for the listings and you're selling them, well, this isn't going to work for you, but what else can I sell? Like, that's our goal, right? Listings produce buyers. Buyers don't often produce listings, right? So when we talk about the actual rate of return, if we start adding in those other leads that may close in a year or two that start from these listings that come from the golden letters, now we're getting some compound interest, right?
Also, out-of-state referrals are a lot of time listing people are looking to buy, so either you're gonna help them buy their house locally, or you're gonna refer them out to the lower 48 and get paid off of that referral.
Absolutely, right? And then the next week we're going to talk about expireds and cancels, and the week after that we're going to talk about farming. But I will tell you that a lot about what we talk about in each one of these classes will apply to everything that we're talking about, right? For the farming class, we got Ignite RE, First American Title, coming in to talk to us about Ignite RE. But Ignite RE is also an amazing tool for using to do your golden letters. So Zoe, give us a little bit of input on what you do with golden letters and how it's worked for you. How many do you do?
About 200 a month,
200 a month, okay?
and I usually pull about 3 to 4 listing appointments out of 200 a month.
Wow. Wow, that's great.
Okay. Also great return. Now, you got to still get the listings, right? So that's also part of the thing, right? But if I were to tell you that if you spend less than $400, if we say it's $1.60 a letter, under $400, if I told you could get 4 chances at a listing, would you guys take it?
It's a little more nuanced than that, though.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
I just wanna, just real quick, cause you get a lot of calls, texts, and emails off of those golden letters. And if you're not separating the clients from, like, I have Rachel basically, run interference for me on all of those contacts. All the numbers on my letters go to her first. And then she separates the actual interested party versus the tire kickers or the otherwise. She probably gets 10 to 15 calls a week or text, some kind of communication a week off of golden letters. And I've actually, and then she'll ask them basically, like, scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you on selling? And I don't want to talk to them unless they're over a 6 on that 1 to 10, right? I'm not going to waste my time talking to them unless they're over a 6, right? And then out of that, I do a telephone consult with them next as the next step. And she'll schedule that out for me. And out of 20 weeks, I've had 17 phone calls, right? And out of those 17 phone calls, I've gone on 11 listing appointments. Right? So it's not, not everybody you even talk to on the phone after it's a 6 is gonna be somebody you go on with a listing appointment, right? And that's out of 2,600 letters.
Sure. I mean, these are all things that we got to talk about and consider, right? Like that's all valid.
Because when I first started, I was basically just trying to schedule listing appointments with these people off of the golden letters. And I was going on a lot of listing appointments where I was spending a lot of time doing comps and all the other stuff and getting ready. And they weren't even serious about it. They just were curious. They wanted me to walk through their house and tell them what it was worth and what it would look like. And it was a complete waste of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So this is why we're doing this, is because we're trying to help you guys avoid the pain of learning by working as a group and using our experiences together to help you to avoid those problems. Now, for Zoe and for Matt and for Amanda, I want to give Amanda a chance to talk here because I see her hiding in the corner, and I always love when Amanda has a chance to talk. But my thing is, when you first started these golden letters, and I'm cheating a little bit because I'm the broker, so I field a lot of the angry calls. Before you kind of got it figured out and made sure your golden letters were tight, how many agents you'd say that would call you and say, why are you trying to steal my clients?
Well, no matter what you put on the letter, they're gonna make those calls, right?
Sure.
So on the bottom of my letter, I have a disclaimer. It says like, if your property is currently listed with a real estate broker, please disregard. It is not our intention to solicit the services of other real estate brokers, right? As a disclaimer, you know, to keep us in the black on, you know, ethics.
Yes, and I think that that's absolutely vital, guys. It's absolutely vital. Two things that I think are vital when you're doing a golden letter to keep yourself in as least amount of angry people as possible. One is, please do not tell them you have a buyer interested in their home unless you actually have a buyer interested in their home. The other one is make sure that you're putting on there that you're not trying to take currently listed properties, right? I love the verbiage that Matt used because anybody can call him now and be angry and he can say, listen, it specifically says in the letter that that is not our intention, nor is that what we're trying to do. Okay. So I think that that's very important that you guys make sure that you have that verbiage on any letter that you send out. Because we do know that it's against the code of ethics to solicit currently listed properties. Now, you could go through every single address that you're going to send to check to see if they're currently listed properties, but let's be honest. Okay, then your $1.60 a letter turns into like $9 a letter and wasted time and effort trying to search all those addresses. So
And it still won't be 100% because there's a lag time in the mail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They can come up in the next 3 days before they get the letter or before they open the letter. You know what I mean? If it just sits on their counter for a week,
absolutely.
it's just not worth it.
Yep, it's shut. So make sure you guys have that verbiage in there. And then also we always, you know, for those of you guys that have known me for a long time, I'm always trying, I always want to be on the up and up and be honest with people. And I think the practice of saying I got a buyer for your home when you don't is absolutely not allowed. It's not acceptable. I think it's total BS. And I don't want anybody in our company thinking that that's acceptable to do. But now on the other side of things, we have two different kinds of golden letters. One is a general golden letter that's going to a farmed area or a specific type of property. Another golden letter could specifically be, I do have a client who has missed out on multiple properties. We are not finding what's on the inventory, and my client is looking for a home like yours. They may be interested in your home. Would you be willing to consider selling if they were? So there's that kind of option, a little bit more targeted golden letter too, when you have a specific type of property you're looking for a buyer. So Amanda, oh, she's having a
Yes.
conversation here. Amanda, you gotta give me some input for you. What do you got for numbers? How's your response been for golden letters?
Very good. The industry standard is a 2 to 3% return rate on a golden letter farming, either one that you're doing. So having a 10% return rate is phenomenal, Matt. So I'm very intentional with I always look at what my goals are for the year and who my ideal client is. And that is who I target my golden letters to. So it can be by price point, it can be by features. Some of the ones I've done in the past are, I'm looking at what's selling the most. Like, let's say, look at Wasilla, right? It's gonna be a 3-bedroom, a 2.5 bath, 1,800 square feet, 2-car garage, between 0.75 acres and 1.25. And I'm gonna pull up those ones, and you can figure out, you know, whatever method you want, Ignite RE, the Burrow, Plex. And I target, and it's very simple. It's not just like, hey, you're interested in selling, call me. It's the most buyers are currently purchasing a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,800, and I tell them, your house meets this. Call
Yeah.
me, and I pitch it so it's like they know there's not just another, hey, come sell my house. I'm targeting your house specifically.
Yeah, so that's the second kind of golden letter that I was talking about. One is just a general blast out there that the market's got low inventory and we're looking for listings in general. The other one is a little bit more specific where you're trying to find something for your client, right?
No, but not even for a client. I'm not saying I have a buyer. I say buyers are purchasing this type of home.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there's no untruth in there.
Yeah, definitely. Untruth is not where we want to be, right? We want to be completely honest. And you know, we might get there and maybe we do have a buyer that's interested in that home. But I would want you to be certain of that before you say something like that. Go ahead, Sharon.
So on the topic of like, verbiage for golden letters,
Mhm.
I wanna turn to, Matt and Zoe and find out like what inspired them, where did they gather the information from? And also like, I know it's also on KW Connect. There's a lot of samples out there. And I love the fact that Brian, that you added guidelines for us to be able to follow, and things to look out for and things not to do. And yeah, I'd like to turn it to you guys. How did you find the inspiration to what to put into your letters and get started?
Well, my inspiration came from Matt, which I believe came from the MREA. I believe that's where our golden letter is from, it's directly from the
It was
MREA.
mega camp, there was some people doing it at a high level, that initiated that, and then I went to the MREA and I have a maps coach and, just,
I think it's direct, they're in the code book, the letter is directly in there in the code book, which is nice.
Awesome. And then, also on that note, like, once you got started, like, how did you decide to did you pick a location? Did you look for a demographic? Like,
I mean, what do you,
what did
how
you
do you
guys
do yours,
find?
Zoe?
For me, most of my buyers are first time like Anchorage condo buyers.
Yeah.
So I target Anchorage condos and I have a lot of success with that. I go to Anchorage a lot and do a lot of condo listing appointments, but, I've also pulled, since those condos are often rented out, I meet the tenants and I pull a lot of buyers out of that too.
Nice. So it sounds like golden letters are very multifaceted, and I love how, if you're attracting buyers, you're getting listings, potential future clients. Matt, you touched on like even out of state, potentially. So any other insights that you want to add to
For
that?
targeting, yeah, I'm very specific, so, like I've gone on 11 listing appointments and I've signed 11 listings, right? But that's not because I'm different or better at doing a listing appointment than somebody else. It's because I specifically target people, that like demographics of people that I know a lot about. Speak the same language, and I'm able to provide value because I know what they want, what they need, and I'm able to tailor my services appropriately, right?
You've been able to get to the point where you're able to screen them at a high level. Like you said, you're not even wasting your time with people that are less than a 6, right? So
Right.
I think that success rate comes from learning from the process and going like, most of these people are really wasting my time, right? But that being said, most of those people are going to reach out and just say, hey, I just would like to know what my house is worth. I want you guys to know that there are some pretty easy tools to use that you don't have to put a lot of effort in to get a pretty good idea of what a value of a home is. Your Keller Williams app has a pretty good way of finding out a rough idea of the value of the home without having to do a full-blown CMA. Remine has a pretty good way to get you a pretty good idea of what a house is going to be worth without having to put in a lot of work. So even for those people that are quote unquote a waste of time, they may be a waste of time now. We all talk about a lead is not a bad lead. It's just not a great lead right now, right? So there are a couple ways to handle those folks that are not ready right now, to keep them in so that down the road you might get them as a listing as well. But I think Matt's high level of success is because Rachel is really doing a lot of that screening ahead of time, so that by the time they get to Matt, they're a pretty good idea that they're looking to sell. And so then he's getting in their house after that, all that has been done. So, for those of you guys that don't have a Rachel, and if you don't know Rachel, she's amazing. Hi, Rachel. But for you guys are just going to have to do that same thing, like have that conversation. How are you from 0 to 10? How ready are you to sell? And kind of pare it down, because you don't want to be chasing your tail, running around doing 1,000 listing appointments for people who aren't going to sell their home. So I think that's a valid point, and a big part of doing golden letters is making sure that you're not wasting your time, because if you're, oh, Barb's in and out. because if you are gonna just run over to every person's house and spend the time to do CMAs for every person that reaches out to you, I promise you, you're gonna wear yourself out and you're gonna not be happy with doing golden letters. So I think screening is a big part of that and making sure that you're, for those that just want a number, that you have an easy way to send them a number. And for those that are really interested, you have a way of screening them and picking through them. So
Brian, I just wanted to say, make sure that whoever is
what? Did anybody else hear that? I heard.
No, she's all garbled.
Go ahead,
just wanted
Adina.
to,
Well,
Sorry, Barb, you're all garbled. We can't hear
yeah,
you.
put it in. You might want to put it in the chat so that we can hear you, or we can know what you have to say, because you're breaking out pretty bad. Amanda.
I just want to, before we segue off of this, I just have one more thing that I'd like to add. The conversation isn't over if they're a 6 or less. Right?
Correct. That's my
Right,
point.
so
Exactly.
So what I do when it comes to that, or what Rachel does, is, so we have our like monthly market update that we do for the Anchorage and the Valley. And we talk to them and say, hey, look, maybe you're not willing to like do this right now. But would you like to get added to our email list for our monthly market update so that we can keep in contact and you can keep a finger on the pulse of the market, whatever. We have, quote unquote, we're not allowed to say scripts, but whatever you want to call it. We have a specific way and a specific flow chart for how the conversation goes and what to say when to keep it consistent and to keep our efficiency up, right? So no matter what they say, we already know what we're going to say next to, keep a hold of them for the long term, to, keep it rolling, right? Because they reached out, so there is interest. It's just not a 6 or higher. So there is interest there. They're curious about it. So we just look for a way to provide value over the long term that doesn't add a lot of time or effort on our side to keep in touch with them.
So I want to just go through really quick, and anybody else in the room there or that does golden letters yet? Tanya, anybody? No, not yet. Well, I hope all of us are get to the point of doing golden letters, because I promise you there's enough business out there for all of us. But I just want to kind of go over a little bit of what I've found for information on what is a golden letter, okay? It says
Hey,
in the
Brian?
context of, yeah.
I was just gonna chime in and say, Barb put in the chat, whoever is doing the screening needs to be licensed.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yes. We remember, nobody is allowed to have discussions on real estate unless they have a real estate license. So if you have somebody who is not licensed talking about real estate, you are going to get in trouble. So thank you, Barb, for adding that, because I feel, as a broker, I feel like that goes without saying, but I'm glad she reminds me to actually say it, because some people don't realize where that line is in real estate. And the line is, if you don't have a license, you don't talk about real estate, period. End of story. That's it. So thank you, Barb. But this just, I found this here. It says, in the context of real estate, a golden letter is a highly effective direct mail piece designed to generate leads and listings. It's characterized by simplicity, personalization, and a clear call to action. The term golden refers to its potential for success of high rate responses. Okay. Says the purpose is lead generation. The primary goal is to attract potential clients who might be considering selling their homes. Building relationships. It can help establish a connection with homeowners with a great sense of trust. Generate listings. By sparking interest in selling, it can ultimately lead to securing new listings. Key characteristics are simplicity. The letter should be straightforward and easy to understand, avoiding complex jargon. I like that word, jargon. Personalization. It is crucial to tailor the letter to the specific recipient and their circumstances. Clear call to action. The letter should have a clear and concise request for action, such as a phone call or an email. Targeted demographics. Focus on sending the letter to individuals who are more likely to be interested in selling, such as those facing life events like pre-foreclosures, probate, bankruptcy, or divorce. High impact design. The letter should be visually appealing and attention grabbing. Now, for me, I would kind of say that that's less important, but that's what this says. Says how it works, direct mail. The letter is typically mailed directly to homeowners' addresses. Follow-up, a system of follow-up emails and phone calls is often implemented to nurture leads and convert them into clients. Data mining, identify the using relevant data to target specific demographics is crucial for maximizing effectiveness. The benefits are a high response rate. When properly implemented, golden letters can generate a significant number of callbacks and leads. It's cost effective. Direct mail can be a relatively inexpensive way to reach targeted audience. Now that we have social media, I would say it's probably one of the little bit more expensive ways to do it. But when you talk about your return, I would say that that may be not the case. Building relationships. A letter can help establish a connection with potential clients and build trust. In essence, the golden letter is a strategic marketing tool that can be a powerful asset for real estate agents looking to grow their business and generate new listings. Okay. So that's the basic description of what we're doing here. So that being said, Matt, I don't want you to tell us, I don't want you to read one of your golden letters, right? Because I would say Matt's put a ton of work into this and, you know, but what I would like to know from you and from Amanda and from Zoe is what is the basic message that you're trying to get across in your golden letters? Let's start with Amanda since she went the last time. What is your basic message you put in your golden letters?
Trying to think about it because Miriam does it for me now. It's the first opening line is we never know what life happens. Life is always changing. Buyers are currently looking for. This is one of them, right? I have several that I do. I'll do if I'm doing a type of house specifically, it's like 4 bullet points. Says that if this is you, call me. Well, I have call/text and my number. It's literally like 3 sentences with 4 bullet points. If I'm not doing a generalized one like that, and I'm doing something like maybe I'm trying to break into a new price point, and then I will lean on my designations and luxury and that kind of thing that I'm trying to hit with just, you're trying to get their pain points, right? And they don't want someone who's walking in sometimes, if they're selling a $2 million listing who just started 6 months ago. And so I will leverage my experience in that letter. But again, everything is short, brief, to the point. No one wants to read something that's 2.5 paragraphs long.
Hey, Zoe, what do you got? Yes, and again, too long, nobody's reading it. If they open it up and it's a whole page, they aren't reading that. How many of you guys opened up mail and want to read a whole page when you got 35 pieces of junk mail in your mail? Nobody wants to do that. Okay, Zoe, what is your basic message?
I'm gonna let Matt share it because mine's the same template as Matt's. However, I want to share Tyler's letter if that's okay. He gave me permission to share it. His is a little different. Since Tyler's looking for investments, he puts on his letter, I buy houses. Would you be interested in selling your house? And he gets a lot of return on that. And that's something I'm trying out too now that I'm looking for my first home. But I just wanted to throw that out there that not all golden letters are the same.
They're absolutely not. They're all a little bit different. And that's, again, the point of doing this class is because if we can give you some ideas on how to save yourself the time of going out there and just throwing them out there and see what works and what doesn't, that's the whole value of being at Keller Williams and the value of these kind of classes is that we can put our heads together. And between there's probably 15, 16, 17 of us on this class today. It would take each of us 16 times longer to do the exact same thing we can do together in a group, right? We can all learn from each other and avoid a lot of the mistakes by working together. If Matt can come on and say, hey, these mistakes I made, and we can avoid that by learning from Matt, that's the value, right? That's the point, okay? So Matt, go ahead, give me your...
Real quick, I was gonna say, Tyler, he gets a ton of calls because he is the actual buyer. And, yeah, he essentially goes and checks them out, sees if it works for him, and if it doesn't, then he asks them, do you want to list your house? And he pulls a ton of listings from that.
Yep.
Some of my people who are in my database call me and say, hey, I got a letter from this guy named Tyler.
Oh my gosh. I had a client of mine get a letter from Matthew. And he's like, hey, this Matthew guy keeps reaching out to me. I'm like, yeah, he's a great guy. And then I had one this week, actually, 2 days ago. She texted me a copy of Dominique's letter and she's like, should I call her back? I'm like, don't worry about it. This is also the importance of like keeping in touch with your clients and staying top of mind, because otherwise someone else will.
Sure,
So-
and could you, here's a question for you. Could you do golden letters to your own database?
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%. 100%. You could send them a letter and just says, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. I got all this business going on. There's all these buyers out here. Just checking in with you again to see if you're interested in selling your home. And that might be a way for you to work your database a little bit too, right? Because obviously, even if they're your clients, they're opening golden letters, right? They may not be yours, but they're opening them, right? I get them. I get calls. I get golden letters to my house. And I politely tell them a lot of the times, did you look at the name? Because I'm your broker and you're calling me to ask me if I want to sell your house, right? Now Cora's running things, so I can't say that, but you know, there's no reason why you couldn't use this as a tool to use with your database as well, right?
And I want to put a pin on that and come back to that, because I'd love to know how you guys scrub, where you get, the addresses, your how-tos.
Yep.
But
We'll get to that towards the end here as to what tools and weapons we're going to use. So Matt, give us some basic verbiage on what's been successful for you without giving me the actual letter.
I mean, I don't mind, I can read the letter, I mean, it's gonna be different for everybody, right? So it's just, logo at the top of the letter. All the compliance stuff, the KW logo at the bottom of the letter. Phone number, email address, the address of the office underneath the logo, and then 2, the date, the person's name, their address, and then like, dear, whoever the name is, would you be interested in selling your home at blah, 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 to a client of mine? If so, please call, text me on my cell at, and then it's a 206 number because we use Follow Up Boss and there's no CRM that will allow you to port a 907 number over. For whatever reason, Alaska has like turned that off. So I have a little thing at the bottom that says, I know it's not a local number. It's my business cell that I used to stay organized. I'm a local Valley Anchorage agent, just to cover it. But I put all of the calls to a specific line in my CRM to keep them separated from all of the other, incoming calls, texts, whatever it is, so that they have their own dedicated line. So I know that if they're texting or calling that number, it's a golden letter specific one, and then Rachel takes care of it from there, so that it doesn't get lost in the mix of the other things. And then just sincerely, Matt St. John, owner. But the purpose is basically, I want them to be able to read it before they get to the trash can.
Yep,
The whole letter, right?
that's the key. Keep it short, keep it sweet. That's what makes it a golden letter, right? Short and sweet. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you did touch on that, because one of the notes that I have on here is what is the rule when you are marketing of any kind? And Matt
Logo
touched on
goes
it. So
on
it's,
everything.
what's that?
Logo goes on everything.
You must identify the brokerage that you work for.
Right,
Okay.
it can be a logo or you can spell it out. Either
Yep,
one.
and Amanda, when we spell it out, what does it have to say? It has to say Keller Williams Realty Alaska Group. It cannot say KWAG. It cannot say Keller Williams Alaska Group. It needs to say Keller Williams Realty Alaska Group. That is required. Okay. So a logo makes it easy because you know what our logo says, Keller Williams Realty Alaska Group. But you must identify your brokerage in any kind of marketing that you're doing. So please make sure that you have that on all of your letters. Okay, we can't be secret agents. Go ahead, Zoe.
I was gonna say, I keep a copy of every single letter I have in my Google Drive, just because I personally have had someone call the broker and say I didn't have the KW logo on there. And luckily I had a copy of it. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but I had a copy of it that had the logo on it, so.
No.
Yeah.
And don't forget, when you're talking about logos, your fair housing logo and your realtor logo as well.
That's even better. But at a very absolute minimum, you must identify your brokerage in any marketing that you're doing. So I just want to make sure we keep that top of mind, right? Get yourself in big trouble without identifying your brokerage. And that goes for Facebook posts or anything. You must identify your brokerage in everything that you do. Okay?
Voicemail.
Karen, you can go ahead and just turn your camera off. She gave us a sticky note treatment. I saw that. Okay. Yes, so that gives you guys an idea, short and sweet, to the point, right? Now let's talk about, because we only have about 15 minutes before I start wasting your time. Let's talk about the tools that you use in order to find where you're going to be sending letters to. How are we finding the people? How are we finding the addresses? How are we making sure that we're just not randomly sending a whole bunch of mail to random addresses that aren't going to matter, to random areas that aren't going to matter? What tools are you guys using?
I use First American Ignite a lot. I love it.
Ignite
Yeah,
RE is
Ignite
great.
RE.
Yeah,
And
I
for
use
those of you, go ahead, Amanda.
I'm gonna say I use Flex when I'm doing like, I want this type of house specifically, or this price point or whatever. I do it through Flex. See what sold, go on how long is someone actually owning a house nowadays. And I go that many years in the past, and I usually do a couple years on either end. So I do large quantities at a time, and multiple. I have a 6-week campaign specifically, one piece every single week, and then it goes month to month after that. But then I go back through, and I don't know these people from anything. I just have a listing address, and so then I go back against the borough. And then I that's how I match mine up.
Yeah, absolutely. So another couple of ideas, don't be afraid to use your local tax authority, right? So the Matsu Borough site is a great way to kind of find areas that you guys like. If you guys want to, if you're looking for, I did some golden letters for my builder, and we actually found a really nice 40-acre parcel that ended up not working because the borough wanted to charge ridiculous amounts of money for roads. But I just did a golden letter because my builder was looking for large parcels, and I just went on the Matsu Borough site and I just looked on the map for big chunks of undeveloped land and went in there and said, okay, here's this chunk of 40 acres that nobody's done anything with. What's their name and phone number? I'm sending them a letter. Went to the next one and said, hey, here's a big chunk of undeveloped land. What's their number? Who owns this, and how do I find their number? So Ignite RE is amazing. You can actually really tone it down. You can go into Ignite RE and say, I would like to find, for Matt as an example, veteran loans that have been within the last 4 years, because you know that if they're a veteran or in the military and they're leaving probably in 4 years, right? So you can really tone it down to a really good specific demographic if you want to be real specific about what letters you want to send out. And I think the better, up to a certain point, the more you tone it down, the better chances you're going to have with not spending a lot of extra money but just don't go too small, right? Because the goal is to get the letters out there in a fairly high volume, right? So Ignite RE is great. Remine is another way to use to find tools to find if they, how much they owe on their home and things like that. There's a lot of great tools out there. And again, I want to remind you that in our final class of this listing series, that's going to be 2 weeks from now, Ignite, our First American Title, is going to come in and teach a class specific on the tools that they have available to help you with farming and golden letters. Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys tune in next week for expireds and cancels, and then that following week for farming, because that's going to kind of tie this all together with some of the tools that you can use to help you with this process, right? So, who wants to chime in here about like how this might, what are they looking for from this class as far as like, what are they trying to do? What kind of areas are you looking for? What kind of buyers are you trying to find? And then I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on different types of things that you can use as motivation or examples of what kind of golden letters that you want to do. Like Cindy, what would you use golden letters for in the peninsula? And what kind of letters are you trying, what kind of buyers or sellers, excuse me, are you trying to find?
Mainly like I have a couple buyers that are pre-qualified for first-time home buyers, but those are the ones that are super hard to find or it's super competitive, and multiple offers and everything. So, anything between 300 and 400,000 is really hard right now.
So your target is lower price, lower end homes that can be for first time home buyers?
Yeah.
Great. There's a great ways to search for those tools in Ignite RE. And you can also find out a lot of that information on your local taxing authority, right? What else, Matt? What other reasons, Zoe, go ahead. What other?
I am someone who likes to be spoon fed the how to, like step by step. Can I do that? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I was just trying to give us some examples of where golden letters would work and what type of golden letters might apply.
Well, and I would say too, like something that I've recently started to implement is as soon as I get a buyer, I just start farming for them with the golden letters, regardless of if there's stuff on the market or not. I think it's a good opportunity to send golden letters and feel genuine about sending them. But so from literally the start, I want to say order the giant box of envelopes on Amazon. It's the cheapest, the best. It's like 1,000 letters. Do that on Amazon. Order your stamps from stamps.com. They are ridiculously expensive on there. Normal stamps, I think, are like 69 cents a stamp. On stamps.
77 at the post office.
77.
Bought 1,000 one yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Stamps.com, you can get, I don't know exactly like how much it is, but for $75, you get about 1,200 stamps. And you can send those out. So I highly recommend going on stamps.com. But so anyways, I'll go on Ignite RE, pull the neighborhood I want. I specifically, for me, pull people that have owned their condos for longer than 2 years. And then I pull my list. I have a little setup in my Google Drive, and you can Google how to automate golden letters on Google Drive, and it'll pull up a how-to for you on Google. But so I'll put my spreadsheet into my Google Drive spreadsheet. It auto-populates the letters for me. I print all the letters from there, sign them all, put them in their envelopes, hand address all of the envelopes, and then send them out. And that's my full process.
Wow.
And I think the handwritten envelope is vital.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's vital. Because they're getting too much junk. We get way too much junk mail right now, right? The handwritten letter gives them an idea that somebody is actually trying to not send them junk mail. Okay.
Yeah, one thing, it's gonna really depend on your personality type, but I'm the touchy-feely sort. So depending on the season or a holiday, I put stickers on the outsides of my envelopes and on the back sides because they look super personal. And I'm just trying to increase that open rate.
Absolutely.
I love that. This
Absolutely.
gives me a chance to use stickers.
I love
Yes.
What about you, Matt?
Matt's like, oh my God. Look at her.
What about you, Matt?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. I was just asking, like, what's your process? Very similar to Zoe?
Yeah, I mean, I do a couple of different tweaks, like I've gone into the psychology of different colors of envelopes and open rates and stuff like that as well. And started to apply that to, the process instead of a white envelope. Cause I also want it to stick out in the stack of envelopes, right? So white envelopes I've gone away from.
What's your color?
I mean, you can look, they're canary yellow, they're all over my office right now.
Yeah.
But we're playing with a couple different colors, but there's like legitimate psychology to do with color. And, emotion and vibes and, like psychology just in general, and, don't do red.
I was gonna say, I don't want a red or pink envelope.
Don't, yeah, blue is medical bills.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, yeah, so there's like legit, you can nerd out as much as you want on it, but yeah, like avoid super dark stuff, just in general. Because it has a little bit of a more, I don't know, morose thing to it, you know what I mean? It's not exciting, but yeah, so we're using Canary Yellow right now. They're a little bit more expensive, but I mean, I think I pay, well, I didn't think, I know exactly how much. A box of 500 from Amazon is exactly $40. But yeah, I mean,
Can you spend drastically more than that by not paying attention to what you're doing? If
what
you're
do you
just
mean?
going to Walmart or wherever and just buying stuff
Oh, yeah,
randomly,
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
massively more expensive.
Absolutely, so, I do wanna say, if you're gonna go, the Zoe route with the stamps.com. Buying the stamp from stamps.com is not a mailable stamp, it's just like the first part, you have to go into stamps.com and then print the postage onto that stamp they send you, which is a little extra money. But if you're just sending them out, we made the mistake at the beginning of, we were just doing that and just mailing it, and the post office was allowing it to go through. Like most of the time, it was returning some for like no postage, and then we did some research and we found out that you have to like print onto that stamp, the actual postage. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I'm still sending my stamps out without the printed postage. And I mean, I Googled it and Google was like, yeah, I think you're fine. So I've been sending mine without the postage on it.
So
And
you Google food it.
yeah, I mean, I vetted, I gave myself the check that it's okay without the printed stuff on it, but.
Proceed at your
Yes.
own risk. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, if you buy them in bulk, there's like 67 cents a piece regardless, you know, which is cheaper than the 77, right? And they're forever stamps, right? And I just get a roll of just the stamps. And depending on, so one thing we do change up, sometimes we'll pay a little extra for postage. For like holidays, we'll put like holiday centric stamps on it, just because it's not necessarily adding any extra steps or any extra material costs or otherwise. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of extra tweak, you know what I mean? So that they know it came from another person, anything to get them to open it, right? Without adding steps is my biggest thing, right? So changing the color of an envelope doesn't add a step, right? Changing the stamp I put on the envelope doesn't change a step, right? Or add steps, right? Because you're already hand addressing all of these things. I don't want to add too many steps because it takes about 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours to do 50 letters, once you get good at it, right? So, it can be time consuming, and any little step that you add will increase that time and decrease your overall profit from your letter, right? So, I don't hand address the return. I just bought a stamp with my logo, company, and address, and just stamp the corners, right? So that cuts out a little bit of a step. You can just go through the stamp 50 envelopes and you're done, right? Instead of hand addressing, you sign an address that's not gonna change.
And if you guys need help, most standard envelopes will run through our printers. And so I can teach you how to run it through the printer.
Yeah, so just real quick, because we got a few minutes left, reasons, targets for your golden letters. So anytime you're in a multiple offer situation, or you know that there is a multiple offer situation, you can reach out to the neighborhood and say, hey, there are buyers in your neighborhood that were unable to purchase a property because your neighbor's home sold with multiple offers. So multiple offers is a good reason to do golden letters. Just the general, we're looking for listings is a great time to do golden letters. If you're looking for something specific for your buyers, it's a great way to do golden letters. What other examples do you have of reasons or targets that you would use for golden letters? Any of you guys can chime in, Matt or Mark, Karen, Barb, Zeke, Cindy.
You're buying a house. You're looking for a house for yourself.
You're trying to buy your own house. That's an opportunity, right? What else?
You're trying to change your price point of your listing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're trying to increase your average sales price. Yep. Mark, what do you got? Got any ideas on why you'd want to be sending out a golden letter?
I think last week we talked about even for investment properties and looking at short-term rentals or the Airbnb, someone who maybe manages their own if they're tired of that. We have
Yep.
investment buyers that are looking for, you know, an investment property or.
I abhor cold calling. Like,
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate cold calling.
Cold calling's tough.
You're free to do letters.
I haven't cold called a single person since I started real estate. Not one.
Oh, I got a good reason. Brian's builder just pended a property in a really desirable neighborhood.
Or we can do one I just did. Did you know Brian's listing on Finger Lake just sold in 3 days for multiple offers and there's a demand, you wanna list? I live on the lake too, let's go.
Absolutely. So watching that hot sheet is a great way to find farm areas that you want to do. But like I said, if you don't have a buyer, is it legit to say, hey, I know that this home in your neighborhood sold under multiple offers because probably your client didn't get it or whatever. So that means there are valid buyers out there that are looking to buy a home in your neighborhood right now that missed out on an opportunity. Maybe they want to buy yours. I mean, that's a great reason to do a golden letter. In my opinion, I think that's a fantastic
You
reason.
don't have to have had to be one of the participants if you know.
No, you
about-
don't. You
Yeah.
absolutely don't. Any listing that sells in under a week. Any listing that sells in under a week. What is the seller's usually one of their biggest fears when they're going to list their property?
Where are they gonna go?
Yes, that's one.
Oh.
Also, how long is
Okay.
this? How long is this going to take? I don't want my house to be on the market for 100 years. So if you
Are
can
you
reach out
looking
to
for
them and
land
say,
or house?
if you want to reach
We
out to
don't
them
do
and say,
rentals, so no, we don't do rentals. I would send you a lead.
Cindy.
Cindy, we need you to
I got
mute.
I got it.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to be sending out golden letters and a lot of valid ones, right? Like Tyler, I'm an investor. I'm looking to buy properties at all times. Maybe yours is one, but a lot of sellers are nervous about leaving their house on the market for a long time because it's a giant pain in the butt, right? So if you can legitimately say that there's a home in your neighborhood that sold in a week, if you had a chance of selling your home in a week for a really good price, would you consider doing it? That's a great golden letter. Okay, it's a great one. So
Any of
just
us talk to you guys, like Matt, Zoe, no?
Just the more deliberate you can be on who you're sending the letter to, the higher your success rate and the less wasted effort you'll have.
Mhm.
That's the number one thing. The number
Yeah.
one thing. The rest of
Yeah,
it.
I'm a veteran specialist. I'm not, but I mean, if you are, you could say I'm a veteran specialist. I love to help veterans when they need to relocate, and I see you've owned your home for 4 years. And as a military, veteran or current military, I know that means that you're probably going to be leaving soon. So let me know if I can help you. That's what I do. I help veterans. That's a great one, right? There's lots of different opportunities out there for you. Like Cindy said, I help first-time home buyers. My favorite thing to do is help first-time home buyers. I'm looking for homes that would be good for first-time home buyers. So there's lots of different reasons you could put in your golden letter to give you the opportunity to get into their mailbox, right?
Cool.
Anything else you guys want to add here since it's 1:02? Or anything that you guys would like to chat about real quick before we go? Anything?
My question, does someone else have a question? Because we're good. My question was, do you do follow-up letters? And you mentioned a 6-week.
I have a 6-week, 1-piece fuller mail, but 1 piece of mail per week, full color for 6 weeks. After that, they go on to a monthly.
Okay.
You're talking about mailers, not going to letters though.
My golden letters, right, there's a first golden letter, and then there's the follow-up letters to that golden letter for 6 weeks.
Okay.
Got it.
I was gonna say, I don't send follow-up letters. However, I do know somebody who pays for they don't just pull the addresses, they also pay for the phone numbers on Ignite RE. And they'll send the letters, and then about 3 or 4 days later, they'll give them a call, and then if they still haven't heard from them, they'll send them another letter.
Okay, so I got a question for you just to add this in there. Is there any reason why you couldn't do golden letters for buyers?
Searching for a buyer, you mean?
Yeah, no, just to send letters to buyers. Did you know that you could potentially buy a home for the same amount that you are renting your home for right now? There is absolutely a complete, like this is a completely secondary golden letter opportunity is buyers.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you do golden letters for buyers as well? Now, we all want listings, and this series is about getting listings. But golden letters are just as valid for buyers too. You might not have the similar return rate that you have, but for Zoe, who's doing condos and stuff, could you do golden letters in a big condo association and search for buyers?
Oh yeah, I got a ton of success just at the fourplexes on my street, like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So golden letters, we're talking about targeting sellers right now because this is about listings, but golden letters can be just as effective for buyers. Right? So when the market changes, eventually it will, because that's what the market does. It hasn't happened yet and we're still waiting for it, but eventually we're going to need more buyers than we need sellers. And could you still do golden letters at that point? 1,000% you could. Right? So there's a lot of different opportunities in golden letters. There's a lot of different ways to do golden letters. And hopefully this class has helped you with a few ideas on how to do them. But the number one thing about golden letters is you have to stay consistent over time. It's like farming. If you're going to do it one time and then go, I didn't get 19 listings out of that one golden letter, you're not going to be successful at golden letters. It's not going to happen. You have to be successful. You will see the success go up over time. 100%. When you first started, Matt, are you seeing better results now than when you first started?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you are, right?
Yeah.
So consistency is the key. And then when we start talking about farming in a couple weeks, farming is even more vital that you stay consistent over a long time, right? Because with a golden letter, you might sneak one out on your very first try. You might sneak 5 out on your very first try. But ultimately, the goal is to be consistent over time and allow that to kind of that success to set in. So if you're going to start down the path of doing golden letters, I would say you need to commit to a year. A year of golden letters. I'm going to do golden letters for the next year, and I'm going to give it time to see what actual results are. Because if you do it for a month, you might have massive success for that month. Maybe not so much the next month. Maybe massive success again in the third month. But if you don't give it enough time to see that success through and to get an actual reading of what does your return on investment look like, which is why I love what Matt's doing, which is he's bringing it down to the cents, right? But that takes time to do. And if you don't give yourself enough time, you don't give yourself enough time to tweak the things to get that highest rate of success. And you don't give yourself the time to learn, like Zoe said, the difference between regular stamps and stamps.com, the difference between going and buying envelopes or buying them online at a higher number, right? So I hope I hope all of you guys decide to do golden letters at a high level, but I hope all of you guys give it the time that it needs in order to be super successful. And I think if you do golden letters and you do it at a high rate and you give it the time, it will be successful.
Brian, can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Because I am so consistent in following up in all my different campaigning that I do, I get calls that take me off your mailing list or text. And I take that as a win because guess what? What I'm sending out, people are opening.
Yep.
It's just affirmation. Maybe I'm not getting the yeses, all the yeses I want, but I know it's working. People are seeing it.
Yep.
Don't let those no's and boo-hoos get you down because what you're doing is working when you get those.
Even bad publicity is good publicity. Is that what they say? Right? So anything you want to add, Barb? I know you've been busy and you've been kind of hiding behind the camera there, but anything you want to add, Barb? I always like to hear from Barb. Barb is a wealth of knowledge. So if she can add anything, I'd love to give her the chance. What you got, Barb? Anything? You're cutting out again. Sorry.
So much more for Mike.
Yeah, her phone's not liking us today. That's okay, Barb. We appreciate you. Add to the chat if you'd like. Thank you guys all for coming today. I hope this was worth your hour this afternoon, plus the travel time that it took to be on here. Please make sure to log in next week at this same time, Friday at noon. Thank you, Sharon, for taking time out of your day to put these together for us. Super valuable and helpful. I think if we can raise the bar on listings, our whole company is going to go up, because if Matt can get more listings, Sharon can sell them. Right? So this is important for all of us. So if we can, as a group, really hone in on getting more listings, it's going to raise the bar for all of us. Okay. So I hope to see you guys all next week at noon, Friday at noon. And next week is going to be expireds and canceleds. Amanda does a lot of expireds and canceled activity. So Amanda's going to pitch in for us and give us some helpful tips about how she's doing expireds and canceleds. Thank you so much, Matt, for being a part of this, and Zoe. Your help is going to help everyone else reach a higher level of success. So we don't take for granted your input in this. We really, really appreciate it. And again, if we can all work together and we can all share this information, it can be less painful for all of us. And I think that's the goal of these types of trainings, is that we can all work together to try and raise our expertise without having to all go through the pain together, right? So I'm sure if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. You want to add anything, Sharon?
No, all
Okay.
good. Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Thank
Cindy.
you guys.
Bye,
Appreciate it.
Cindy.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Barb.